Well, we are officially 1 year removed from the NFL draft of 2022. At this point, I guess a little under a year removed, but still, we now have seen all of those rookies play in a full season, or unless they were injured or something. Figured it'd be a good time to kind of look back on what I said during that situation, talking about the players that maybe I was too high on, too low on. This is going to be my top 5 best and top 5 worst takes from the NFL draft of 2022. Let's start off positive for me. Let's make it fun before I tear myself down. Let's do my 5 best takes from that draft, and these are going to be in no particular order. First, Travon Walker was, I think a good take by me. The 52 next to his name, that is where I had him on my prospect board. So, that's what I'm going to put that next to all the players that we talk about. I did not have him as a top 50 prospect, and I'm not saying that he can't one day live up to the hype. I'm just saying he hasn't done it at this point. I think when they drafted him, they knew it was going to be a project, and kind of one thing I said was I wouldn't be shocked if in year 2 or year 3 is when he starts to get it together, but I also said I would be shocked if he did it in year 1. I think that was something I very much felt like wasn't going to be the case. Showed a couple of flashes, but the reality is really felt like he just bull rushed every single move, and then sometimes the guys weren't strong enough to to hold on, but most of the time they were, and he didn't have an answer for it. So there's hope for Walker, but as of right now, he just has not lived up to the first overall billing. Next up on my list is one where, again, everyone loved Sauce Gardner coming out of the draft, but I think that I would say, and, if everyone liked, for example, everyone liked Aiden Hutchinson, I had him as my number 1 prospect, didn't put him on the list, though, because, we all pretty much had Aiden Hutchinson as number 1. Sauce Gardner, I had at number 2, though, and a lot of people did not. People, still liked him, but he was rarely inside people's top 5. I think this was fair for me to pat myself on the back a little bit, saying that this guy is special, and even though I get why you'd be a little bit wary of drafting a corner that high, simply just because it is a risk. Corners are more difficult to draft than, say, an edge rusher, but I just felt like the risk-reward was worth it, as the potential benefit of if Sauce Gardner hits could be awesome, and it worked out. He was probably the best rookie, regardless of positional value, out of that first year. So he's I think he belongs on this list as a positive take for me. Next up, my number 9 prospect was Tyler Linderbaum, who was, again, a guy who many people liked coming out of the draft. He was universally liked, it seemed like. There were some people that had some faults in his game. Really, the only issue I had in his game was that he was a center, and I think I was proven right. After 1 year, he was PFF's 6th highest rated center, 40 Baltimore Ravens. So, again, a take where a lot of people liked Linderbaum, but most people had him as kind of a end of the first round guy. I had him as a top 10 guy, but just you have the positional need for it. It seems like I've been proven right on that. And then also Bryan Cook on the other end, someone who I thought was, a bit underlooked after 1 year. And while I wouldn't say his rookie year was perfect, I do think that for Kansas City, he did some nice things and showed what I thought he could show as a safety who maybe was a bit underlooked. So those are my 5 good takes. But now let's get to why you clicked on this video, to talk about what are the takes that I screwed up after 1 year. And there's some. There certainly are, as there is going to be every year. First up, Kyle Hamilton, who I had as my 35th overall prospect. I did not have him as a first round talent, and he proved me wrong. He looked very good this year, and kind of the second he got drafted by the Ravens, I said, well, that take's not going to age well, just because they know exactly what they're doing with safeties. Now, in fairness to me, I would still sit here and say I don't know if he's a complete safety. I don't know. I still think there are holes in his game, but the Ravens also saw that and said, we're going to use him the correct way. And this is what kind of makes evaluation so difficult, is I see someone like Kyle Hamilton who is great at certain aspects of football, but struggles at other aspects of football. And if he gets drafted by a bad team who tries to get him to do everything, like an Isaiah Simmons, for example, well, then he's not going to look so good. But if he's, used properly, like the Ravens use Hamilton, then he's going to look awesome. So, I understand why I made a take, but in hindsight, maybe 35 was still too low. Definitely a miss by me. Number 36, I had Kenny Pickett. I had him as number 36 on my list, and he ends up being a really good rookie for the Steelers for 1 year. Quarterbacks are difficult. Quarterbacks, who knows what's going on? It's always difficult to try and figure out who's going to be good, who's going to be bad. No one has successfully guessed or predicted quarterback play consistently. No one does it. There's a reason why it's so hard to get the quarterbacks right, because it's just hard. And another guy on my list, Malik Willis, who did not have a good rookie year. And in fairness, I think we all kind of said, yeah, this is a project here, but still, maybe a bit more of a project than I had realized when I had him at number 11 on my original big board, which again, just to understand why I had it there, I very much value the quarterback position, and the idea of getting an elite quarterback to me is always worth the risk. Even if you're risking an 11th overall pick, the risk reward there. What's the potential benefit? That's kind of why I made that decision. But maybe in hindsight, I should have paid more attention to the negatives and not gotten too excited about what he could potentially be. So again, quarterbacks very difficult, but not impossible. Couple of misses by me. Also, I had Devin LLoyd as my number 4 overall prospect. I also capitalized both L's in his name for some reason on the graphic, but that is, I think, again, is this an awful take? Well, through 1 year, it hasn't aged overly well. He came into the league, had a very weird rookie year where he started off looking awesome. The first few games, I'm like, oh my God, this guy is exactly who I thought he was going to be. This is perfect. What a great take by me. Since then, didn't really live up to the hype, had a tough second half of the year. So, this extends to all these players in that it's just 1 year. The takes that I'm bragging about and the takes that I'm kind of saying about, some of them will shift and some of them will turn the other way. Some of my bad takes will end up looking better. Some of my good takes will end up looking worse as time goes on. But as of right now, we're talking about just 1 year into it, and 1 year into it, having Devin LLoyd as a top 5 player and having him have kind of a subpar rookie year with some flashes, for sure, some flashes. That's why I'm putting him on this list. And finally, Trelon Burks, who, this isn't one that I'm like horrified by. I don't think this is a terrible take. And I do think that in some areas, people still overrated him. But I think I maybe underrated him. I think while maybe I was right in that he isn't, quite on the same level as some of these other top receivers, where some people had him as, I've seen lists have him as high as wide receiver number 1. I had my concerns about him, and I think that maybe some people didn't pay enough attention to the issues, and I didn't pay enough attention to the strengths. Again, receivers, very difficult. I'm not really going to, beat myself up too much over missing on a receiver or a quarterback, because they're just difficult positions to evaluate. Even the NFL struggles at evaluating them. There's plenty of misses in the first round and plenty of great talent that falls to the second and third round. Kind of why part of my strategy would always be, if I was an NFL GM, draft guys in the second or third round. Those guys can have success, but still, having Trelon Burks as a fringe second rounder, he's played better than that, even with the injuries. He's shown enough flashes that I'm willing to say that appears to 1 year in be a misfire. So yeah, those are my picks. Let me know in the comments below, what were you wrong about? I did it. Now you got to say it, right? What did you think was going to happen year 1 that was incorrect, or other way around? Brag in the comments if you want to. I'll give you my permission to brag if you want to. So put that in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.